On the surface, Russia's economy looks stable. The ruble hasn't collapsed. Banks are still operating. Government spending is flowing. But that stability is coming at a rapidly rising cost. Behind the headlines, Moscow is paying more every month just to keep the system functioning. Higher interest rates, heavier state support, and emergency measures that don't show up in official growth numbers. And here's the problem. When an economy starts requiring more money just to stay in the same place, it isn't recovering, it's absorbing pressure. In this video, we're going to break down why Russia's economy can look stable on the surface, while the price of that stability is quietly exploding underneath. Not in terms of collapse, not in terms of panic, but in terms of trade-offs that are getting harder to hide, for households, for businesses, and for the state itself. Once you see where that money is coming from, and what it's replacing, the picture looks very different. If you walk through the streets of Moscow or St. Petersburg today, you'll see something that shouldn't exist. Restaurants are full. Construction cranes are moving. The IMF recently upgraded Russia's growth figures, and the Kremlin is shouting from the rooftops that Western sanctions have failed. From the outside, Russia looks stable, even prosperous. But look closer at the 2026 budget Putin just signed, and you'll find this stability is a ghost. To keep the lights on and the tanks rolling, the Kremlin has entered a desperate economic death spiral. In the last 30 days, Russia's central bank has been forced to slash interest rates while inflation is quietly gutting the Russian middle class. They are selling off the country's physical gold reserves, hiking taxes to Soviet levels, and letting their own people freeze to pay for a war bill that has finally come due. Today, we go behind the propaganda. We re-looking at the 16.8 trillion ruble gamble that is keeping Russia upright, and why the price of this fake stability is about to explode. To understand why Russia looks stable, you have to understand where the money is going. In 2026, Russia has officially hit a milestone that hasn't been seen since the height of the Cold War. Nearly 38% of the entire federal budget is now dedicated to national defense and internal security. That is roughly 16.8 trillion rubles, or $217 billion. To put that in perspective, in 2021, that share was only 24%. This is what economists call military Keynesianism. The government is pumping massive amounts of cash into tank factories and missile plants. This creates jobs. It raises wages for factory workers. It makes the GDP numbers look like they are growing. But this is hollow growth. You can't eat a T-90 tank. You can't use a Caliber missile to heat a hospital. While the military-industrial complex is overheating, the civilian economy is being crowded out. In the 2026 budget, social spending, the money that actually goes to schools, hospitals, and pensions, has plummeted to its lowest level in 20 years. The state is choosing to produce items destined to be burned on a battlefield in Ukraine, while the infrastructure of the Russian heartland is being left to rot. The Kremlin's biggest enemy isn't on the battlefield, it's at the grocery store. Because the government is printing and spending so much money on the war, there is too much cash chasing too few goods. Official Rosstat data says inflation is around 6%. But if you ask a Russian citizen about the price of borscht ingredients, the story is different. Fuel prices, up 10% this autumn alone. Utility tariffs, up 12.6%. Food inflation, real-world estimates suggest it's closer to 15 to 20%. Elvira Nabiullina, the head of Russia's central bank, is in a perfect storm. She recently cut interest rates to 16% to prevent a wave of corporate bankruptcies. But this is a double-edged sword. Lower rates make borrowing cheaper, which fuels more spending, which fuels even higher inflation. To hide the truth, the government has stopped being a provider and started being a predator. If the economy were truly stable, the government wouldn't need to raid the pockets of its own people. But on January 1st, 2026, the price of stability gets a physical receipt. The value-added tax, VAT, is jumping from 20% to 22%. This is a tax on everything, from bread to iPhones, but the real quiet drain is happening to small businesses. The threshold for the simplified tax system was just slashed. Previously, a business making 60 million rubles a year was safe. Now, if you make just 10 million rubles, the revenue of a tiny neighborhood coffee shop, the state is coming for its 22% cut. Experts warn this will force thousands of small firms to either close or move into the shadows. The Russian middle class, the very people who were supposed to lead the import substitution revolution, are being taxed out of existence to fill a 5.7 trillion ruble deficit. The final proof that this stability is an illusion lies in the National Wealth Fund, NWF. For years, this was Russia's rainy day fund. Well, it's pouring. In November 2025, Russia exported a record $961 million in gold to China. They aren't just trading currency anymore. They are physically liquidating their gold reserves to cover the budget gap. Oil revenues, the traditional backbone of the Kremlin, are projected to fall by nearly 15% in 2026 as India and China demand even deeper discounts. Russia is now in a position where it must sell its family jewels, its gold, and its future, just to maintain the appearance of a functioning state. Russia isn't going to collapse like a building in a demolition. It is going to erode like a bridge with no maintenance. The economy looks stable because the state is cannibalizing its schools, its hospitals, and its small businesses to keep the war machine fed. But as 2026 begins, the price is no longer something the Kremlin can hide in a spreadsheet. It's in the cold apartments, the empty bank accounts, and the 22% tax on every loaf of bread. The question isn't if the economy is stable. The question is, how much more of their future are the Russian people willing to pay for this illusion? If you want to see exactly how Russia is using China to stay on life support, you need to watch our next deep dive right here. Point to screen. And if you want to stay ahead of the global shifts that the mainstream media is missing, hit that subscribe button and join the Powerconomy community. The bill has arrived. Don't be the last one to know.